The Taliban destroyed the Bamiyan Buddhist country and the emergence of ISIS
with a focus on Islam in Thailand and some
people being by law. You need to respect human dignity. The problem is
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. The meaning of the ayat: Allah, la ilaha illahu, none has the right to be worshipped but He, the ever-living, the one who sustains and protects all that exists. Neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on earth. Who is He that can intercede with Him except with His permission? He knows what happens to them, His creatures in this world, and what will happen to them in the hereafter. And they will never compass anything of His knowledge except that which He wills. His kursi, His throne extends over the heavens and the earth, and He feels no fatigue in guarding and preserving them. And He is the Most High, the Most Grace. This verse is in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayatul Kursi. Then the second ayah is, there is no compulsion in religion. Verily, the right path has become distinct from the wrong path. Whoever disbelieves in Taghut and believes in Allah, then he has grasped the most trustworthy handhold that will never break. And Allah is all the hearer, all knower.
Dr. Mr. Castro, Vice Chancellor of Core Community Affairs. Dr. Nassef Adiong, Dr. Veterinary Arshad, Professor Wadi. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. 2 days ago, the Commission of Higher Education called for a meeting with the technical committees on Islamic studies and other religious studies in the presence of one of the members of the Philippine Congress to talk about the possibility of crafting and passing a bill before Congress on religious freedom. This indicates the increase of awareness and imperative to unite religions and promote religious tolerance and understanding in the Philippines. And talking about religious tolerance in relation to our topic this afternoon, let me recite to you some beautiful verses or chapter in the Holy Quran on freedom of religion. When the Quran says in chapter 109, 1-6 verses, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, or say, O disbelievers, لا أعبد ما تعبدون, I do not worship what you worship. ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد, nor will I be a worshipper of what you worship. ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم, nor will I be a worshipper of what you worship. وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ, nor will you be worshippers of what I worship. لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ, for you is your religion, and for me is my religion. We see here the religious tolerance and freedom espoused in the Holy Quran. The concept of Islam on religious pluralism or unity among the religions, if we may use Smith's words on religious freedom, is strongly embedded in Islam as espoused in the above verses. And when I see the proposed method, okay, as proposed by our speaker for this afternoon, how to promote unity among the religions, which is avoiding imposing one's belief to other religious groups, it reminds me of one of the famous verses of the Holy Quran when Allah Azza wa Jalla says, "La ikraha fid din," the one recited by our brother. There shall be no compulsion in acceptance of the religion. That is in chapter 2, verse 256. Now our topic for this forum is very timely and relevant. And I would like to thank our resource speaker for coming over here, despite his very hectic timetable. Given the enormous challenges faced by our society that are perceived by many people to be grounded in religions such as the plight of Muslim, for example, Muslim Rohingyas in Burma, which is a Buddhist-dominated country, and the emergence of ISIS or ISIS-inspired groups who claim to be Muslims, although majority of the mainstream Muslim scholars would say this ISIS ideology has no basis in Islam and has no legitimacy in Islamic history. So I am very glad that we have this afternoon a known scholar in the Muslim world to discuss for us Islam, Buddhism and politics in Southeast Asia. So with that note, I welcome you all and hope you will learn from our resource speaker. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And good afternoon to everyone. First, I would like to extend the apologies of Chancellor Michael Tan. He is currently in Japan right now for a conference. So I am here in his behalf. And since we are both anthropologists, so this is a topic that is of interest to both of us. So we have a lot of discussions before on Islam and Christianity, especially here in the Philippines. And this topic this afternoon is very relevant to all of us, especially those following world affairs, as in the case of Rohingya or in the case of the Patani region in Thailand. So we hope to learn from this lecture today on how we can live in a peaceful, multicultural world despite differences in religious beliefs. I look forward to this discussion today, although there might not be a big Buddhist population in the Philippines, unlike other denominations, but we will surely learn a lot from it. And especially as scholars, we should not only be looking at the situation here in our country, but also in what is happening in the world today. So I wish this lecture will be a successful one. And I was mentioning to our lecturer this afternoon, I have visited the Salaya campus of Mahidol University and took up some courses in that university a long time ago. So I sincerely believe that this will be a good lecture. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. And I hope after this discussion today, you will echo to your colleagues about what we have learned from these discussions. Again, welcome to the university and thank you very much.
Dr. Imtiyaz Yusuf is Assistant Professor, Lecturer, and Director of the Center for Buddhist Muslim Understanding in the College of Religious Studies at Mahidol University in Thailand, and Senior Fellow at the Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Center for Muslim Christian Understanding at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. He specializes in religion with a focus on Islam in Thailand and Southeast Asia, and also Muslim-Buddhist dialogue. In 2009-2010, he was a visiting associate professor and Malaysia chair of Islam in Southeast Asia at Georgetown University. Dr. Yusuf has contributed to the Oxford Encyclopedia of Islamic World in 2009, Oxford Dictionary of Islam in 2003, Encyclopedia of Quran in 2002, and Oxford Encyclopedia of Modern Islamic World in 1995. He was also the special editor of the Muslim World, a special issue of Islam and Buddhism in the mid-2010. It is no further ado, and we are very honored and privileged to have Dr. Imtiyaz Yusuf to do the public lecture on Islam, Buddhism, and Politics in Southeast Asia.
Before I go on, let me introduce myself. I'm born in Africa. When I say that, people ask me, why are you not black? In Africa, there are people like me too. There are people like me in South Africa, there are people like me in many parts of Africa. I'm born in Tanzania. My grandfather is from India. I hold a British citizenship until today because Tanzania was a British colony. I educated in India for my BA in Politics, my MA in Islamic Studies from Aligarh Muslim University, if you've heard, one of the top universities in India, and I did my PhD in USA in Islam and Comparative Religion with Professor Ismail Al-Faruqi, Professor Sayyid Hussein Nas, Professor Mahmoud Ayyub, and Professor Arkoon. These are the giants of Islamic studies. I am living in Thailand for the last 27 years. I speak 6 languages. I speak English, I speak Swahili, which is an African language, Luga as-Sahel. Sahel means the coast of any coast. Luga as-Sahel. Swahili, I speak Hindi, I speak Urdu, I speak Arabic, I speak Thai. So who am I? I don't know. I was globalized before globalization. I don't understand globalization. To tell you frankly, I don't understand. Because I'm globalized by globalization of cultures, languages, and religions. This is the globalization of humanity, Professor Castro, anthropology. This is not Pepsi-Cola globalization, which you are familiar with. Your Pepsi-Cola globalization is commercial globalization. I just don't understand it. Because I can't eat one kind of food for more than 2 days. And my mind, I'm in Africa, I'm in India, I'm in US, I'm in UK, I'm in Nusantara, and I am in the world of Buddhism and Islam. Now, if you see the name here, it says Center for Buddhist Muslim Understanding. Let me tell you something. It is not Muslim Buddhist understanding. Please be very, very clear on that. Buddhist Muslim understanding, but the director is a Muslim. Why? Not because they like me to talk for them, because I work on this topic. On the other hand, there are very few people working on Islam and Buddhism. I've been teaching in Thailand for 27 years. I taught first at Mahidol University, then I went to teach at College of Islamic Studies in Patani, in College of Islamic Studies in Prince of Songkhla University. Then after that, I taught for 12 years at Assumption University, which is a Catholic university. For 12 years, strong influence. And then, because of the ASEAN formation, the Thai government, and because of the ASEAN socio-cultural community, proposed to Mahidol University that we should do work on Islam and Buddhism. So they set up this Center for Buddhist Muslim Understanding, and they asked me to come and join them. That's why I joined them about 4 years ago. So, this is a very, Islam and Buddhism is nothing. Okay, let me tell you about my observation. My observation is like this. If I go and give my best of my lectures in the United States, there'll be only 2 questions at the end. What is jihad? And what is the status of women in Islam? And when I tell my Muslim friends I work on Islam and Buddhism, they always ask me, what about Rohingya? I say, keep it the last topic. I'm not interested in it. I'll tell you why. Yes, it is a tragedy. But the history of Islam and Buddhism is in Southeast Asia is longer than the history of Islam and Christianity. Let us be very clear on that. the background of the people of Southeast Asia is Buddhist Hindu before they became Muslim. I was in Indonesia for 3 months at University Gajah Mada, again teaching on Islam and Buddhism. So I met one person over there. He's a very famous speaker. His name is Chuck Noon. You're familiar with him. Very intelligent. I think we anthropologists should learn from him. And I asked him, what is the background, the memory of Borobudur? You know, Borobudur, the largest Buddhist monument. Where is it? It's in the largest Muslim country in the world. And we have not destroyed it. Where is Prambanan temple? In Yogyakarta. Muslims have not destroyed it because it is the past. But Chuck Noon told me, we Muslims of Nusantara, we are adopters, we are not continuers. We adopt and we forget our past. I'm talking about you, by the way. So, another point which I want to make here is that Islam and Buddhism have existed. Islam and Buddhism made a long time ago, but I'll come back to it, but just say one thing here now. Islam and Buddhism have existed in Nusantara or Southeast Asia for 900 years. 900 years. But there is no one Southeast Asian Muslim scholar of Buddhism. I bet you on that one. And there is no one Buddhist scholar of Islam. You need one from Africa to come and tell you about the history of Islam and Buddhism. This is the state of affairs. That's why there's a lot of misunderstanding. There's no knowledge of each other. So I'm going to take you on a journey. Please control on time for me, okay? I can go on forever. Okay, let me give you my introduction here. I'm not going to cover all of Buddhism. This is not possible, yeah? But I'll look about how certain people in the Buddhist community have worked in cooperation with Islam and Buddhism, like the Dalai Lama, and also the college I'm working at. And my approach is not polemical. I'm not going to criticize Buddhism. I can't. Because I am coming from phenomenological approach to religion and history of religion. I look for parallels, not similarities. I don't say Islam is like Buddhism or Buddhism is like Islam. I say there are parallels in all religions, whether it is Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, or whatever you have. Because today, if for your knowledge, you know that today in 2017 there are 4,200 religions existing in the world. 4,200. But you know only the top 5. You know, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, and Hinduism. And human being has existed in this cosmos for 40 billion years. 40 billion years. So thousands of religions have disappeared. Hundreds of religions, thousands of them have disappeared. But we only know the top 5 today. So I'm coming from the phenomenological approach. My interest is more in understanding and dialogue. I see religions as parallel lines, and the scientific definition of parallel lines is that they never meet. They never meet. They meet at the meeting point, like you meet at the airport. They meet at the station, like the train comes in and every people of different religions come out, know each other, and they go back to their parallel lines. So I reject the myth of religious superiority. All religions for me are equal, as philosophically, because it is untenable to hold a position that one religion is better than others. Why do I say that? I take this from the Quran, which says, had Allah willed, He could have made you into one community. This is in Surah Al-Ma'idah. But that He might try you, that which He has given you. So compete with one another. Fastabiqul khairat. Fastabiqul khairat. Compete with one another for what? Not for your religions. To do good work. That's our competition. Unto Allah you will return and He will then inform you. I said to you that Islam and Buddhism have existed in Southeast Asia for 900 years. But I take you back. Muslims went Buddhists for the first time in a place called Sindh in India. And this is in part of Pakistan now. And when they came, they met them, they wrote to Hajjaj bin Yusuf, how should we treat the Buddhists? And the reply came from the Middle East, from Baghdad, saying, don't destroy their temples. Don't attack their mosques. But after that, Muslim scholars of religion, whom I call the pioneers of history and phenomenology of religion, wrote about Hinduism and Buddhism in the 11th century. You can't hear it. Hello, how's this? Can you hear? All right. The first person who is regarded as the first historian of religion is Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni is the first phenomenologist of religion. He studied Hinduism in India. He studied Sanskrit language. He studied the Vedas. He lived in the temples. And he wrote his book, Kitab Tariq al-Hind. You can read it. It's possible. And he says when he studied Hinduism, he's not going into polemics, but he's going to report about Hinduism as Hindus understand it. But he wrote about Hinduism. But the first person to write about Buddhism is Abdul Karim al-Shahristani in the 12th century. A very important Persian historian. He wrote a book, Kitab al-Milal wa-Nahl. You are familiar with this book, right? Which is the story with the history of nations and religions. And in that book, he is the pioneer of philosophical approach to the study of Islam. And according to him, from the Quranic perspective, that God has sent prophets in every place and in every language, the Buddha is one of the prophets. Muslims believe that there are the popular Muslim belief is there are 124,000 prophets. And Muslims believe, according to the Quran, that every prophet has come in the language of the people, bil-lisani, and in every makan, in every place. So for me, Islam is the most popular. Of course, Nabi Muhammad is the last of the prophet. So we don't reject any of the religions. So for him, Buddha is one of the prophets. The next person to write about Buddhism, I'm going in the 12th century here. This is much before Islam comes to Southeast Asia. I'm there in the Middle East. Is Rashiddin. He is again a Jewish convert to Islam. He writes a book, Jami al-Tawariq. He was an important political person, and in that book, he also writes, is regarded as the first world history, and in that book he wrote again about Buddhism, helping the Muslims understand what Buddhism is all about. I'll show you something, what he did. This is very interesting. These are all available. In this book, Jami al-Tawariq, he imagines the enlightenment of the Buddha. Here is the Buddha. And there is the shaitan, or Mara in Sanskrit language. The night, the Buddha received Nirvana, or Nibbana. The whole night he had a struggle. This is the imagination of Rashid ad-Din Hamdani about what happened in that time. Now here the Buddha looks very Arab. But this is an imagination and appreciation of a Muslim scholar discussing the Nibbana of the Buddha. Another painting. These are all available. The book is very expensive. This is the forest where the Buddha went to meditate. This is his imagination. Because the Buddha was enlightened in the forest. He went out in the forest. And another painting from the same book where he says this is Kushinagar, again where the Buddha achieved Nirvana. So this is an appreciation on the part of Muslim scholars about Buddhism. But if you go out today and you ask the Muslim who are Buddhists, they'll say two things. They are kafir, they are unbelievers or disbelievers, which has a word which the Buddhists now understand. It is an insult to them. I really say, don't say anybody else is a kafir, please. One professor of Buddhism came to me in Indonesia and said to me, "Sir, am I a kafir?" I said, "No, you're not." She said, "Why?" I said, "Are you Pharaoh? Do you reject the ultimate truth?" She said, "No, I don't." But she said, "All Muslims say I'm kafir." She finds it as an insult. She's a professor of Buddhism and Islam. So I request Muslims to please be careful, because the others know that we insult them by using these words. Because these words have special meaning in the Quran and the life of the Prophet. I'll take you furthermore. You go to Rumi, the great Sufi mystic. What does he say? He has written a whole poem, a big poem, from Shams Tabriz, he praises the Buddha. See what he says. I'm not going to read the Persian part. On truth's path, wise is mad, insane is wise. In love's way, love is ishq. Love for God, self and other are the same. Having drunk the wine, this is not the wine you drink, the drunk mystical wine, right? My love of being one with you, one with God, I find the way to Mecca and Buddha Gaya are the same. Buddha Gaya is where the Buddha got enlightened. Now he is talking about spiritual equality. Buddha, I would say, Rumi didn't say this in sitting in Starbucks, okay? He was not just drinking coffee, this is a deep meditation. It's a deep meditation on the part of a great Muslim mystic. I take you further. Many people in Southeast Asia don't know this. Iqbal, Muhammad Iqbal, the famous poet from India, has a whole poem in the praise of the Buddha. I didn't bring the Urdu text, I'm bringing the English translation. Let me read this. It says, the nation could not care less about Gautam's message. It did not know the price of its unique pearl. This is India did not know its pearl, the Buddha. Poor wretches, they never heard the voice of, in the word, truth. He uses the word truth. A tree does not know how sweet its fruit is. What he revealed was the secret of existence. What is life about? But India was proud of its fancies. It was not an assembly hall to be lit by the lamp of truth. The rain of mercy fell. Buddha's Nibbana is a rain of mercy. But the land was barren. Alas for the Shudra, the Indian, the low caste. India is the house of sorrow. The land is blind to the sufferings of man. The Brahmin is still drunk with the wine of pride. In the assembly halls of foreigners burns Gautam's lamp. He's saying Buddhism has died in India, but it lives in other lands, in Japan, in China, in Korea, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Cambodia. It is no more in India. Means India did not appreciate the message of the Buddha. This is Iqbal, and Iqbal is a great Muslim philosopher. He has another point, much deeper than that. This is him, and he talks about the Buddha in his PhD thesis also. What does he say here? I don't have the Urdu, I'm reading the English translation. Ancient wine, here he's imagining, he's saying what we learn from the Buddha. Ancient wine and youthful beloved are nothing. Sunyata. You know sunyata, the idea of nothingness in Buddhism. Everything is kullu man alayha fan. Everything is going to be dissolved. Ancient wine and youthful beloved are nothing. For man of true vision, the houris, the boor of paradise are nothing. You know, Muslims believe that when they go to heaven, they will get boors. He says they are nothing. That's what I learned from the Buddha. Whatever you know as firm and enduring passes away. This is anicca, impermanent. Mountain and desert, land and sea and shore are nothing. This world is nothing. The science of the Westerners, the philosophy of the Easterners are all idol house. And the visiting of idols yields nothing. You may go to the idol house and you will not get anything. Think upon self and pass not fearfully through this desert, for you are, while the substance of both worlds is nothing. You are something, both worlds are nothing. On the road which I have hewed out with the point of my eyelash station, and caravan and shifting sands are nothing. Transcend the unseen, go beyond the ghaib, go beyond the unseen God. And surmise are nothing. To be in the world and to escape from the world is something. You live in the world and to escape is something. The paradise that some God grants you unto you is nothing. The paradise is nothing. When paradise is the reward of labor, of hard work, is something. Don't think you're just going to go to paradise. You have to work hard. You have to do good. Now this is Iqbal. This is a very deep point. Do you seek repose for your soul? The soul's repose is nothing. The tears shed in the sorrow of your companion, that is something. What he says? He says, you want to be relaxed, is nothing, but if you care and feel and cry for your companion, that is something. The wine-drenched eye, the temptress glance, and the song, all are fair. But sweeter than these, there is something. The cheek's beauty lives for a moment. You will be beautiful for some time. In a moment is no more. The beauty of action, amal, and fine ideals, that is nothing. That is something. So action, that's wrong here. He says, doing action, doing good, that is something. That's what we learn from Buddhism. Now, Islam and Buddhism are two different religions. Just like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity belong to the monotheistic faith, Buddhism is a non-theistic religion. It does not mean they don't believe in God. At the time of the Buddha, there were millions of God in India. He said, they are not helping the caste oppression, the caste exploitation. Buddhism belongs to a non-theistic religion. Now this is very difficult for the Muslims. Muslims cannot think of a religion where there is no God. Same with the Christians. This is their mindset. Buddhism challenges us to go over this mindset. And that's where understanding and dialogue is needed. Muslims, and I studied Buddhism very detailed, okay, when I'm doing my PhD. My professor of Buddhism said, very interesting, and I use it again and again, Muslims should not seek the presence of a creator God or holy scripture in Buddhism. Buddhists believe, the Buddha said that there is the unborn, without which nothing happens. But he says, don't look for creator God or holy scripture, that Buddhism has one book. No, they don't have one book. There are many books in the Mahayana tradition. So there's no one scripture in Buddhism, like Muslims have the Quran or the Christians have the Bible. If you go to Mahayana tradition, there are hundreds of scriptures. But Buddhism is not a scriptural religion. It's a religion of teaching and practice. Buddhists, so I say the same thing to the Buddhists. You should not search for nirvana in Islam. It is a futile exercise. But this is very interesting. Two things which Islam and Buddhism share is that the Quran says Muslims are ummatan wasatan, the middle nation. Those Muslims should not go to the extremes. The Buddha says Buddhism is the middle path. Machima Patipada. Many people in Southeast Asia don't know that the Quran, the teaching of the Quran, ummatan wasatan, everybody's talking about wasatiyah today, but this is there for a long time. And the Buddha talks about the middle way, Machima Patipada, the middle way of living a good Buddhist life. When I came to Thailand for the first time, and if you go now, and the taxi driver asks me, what is your religion? And I say, I'm a Muslim. You know what he said to me? You don't eat pork, and you have 4 wives. This is a Muslim. I asked the other way around. I asked a Muslim, so who is a Buddhist? They said, oh, he eats pork, and he has many girlfriends. So what's the difference now? See, we understand religion from the popular view. And I tell this to students, and I tell this to you also. Suppose, right now, imagine, okay, the Buddha, Nabi Muhammad, and Jesus come into this room and sit here. What will they talk about? Can you tell me, somebody? What will they talk about? They will not talk about pigs and women, for sure. They will talk about the ecological destruction we have done. The not Khalifa we are, the not steward we are on this earth. They talk about the violence we are doing in the name of religion. I say we have given passports to Muhammad, to Jesus, and to the Buddha. I said this on my Facebook. So, the OIC are 57 Muslim countries. So if Nabi Muhammad was alive today, he would have 57 passports. And all of them will be expiring every day. See, what we are doing, we have nationalized religions. We have made religion into nationalism. This is what we are fighting. Rohingya is nationalism. Patani is nationalism. Mindanao is nationalism. Kashmir is nationalism. This is the curse of the modern age. Religions are wisdom traditions. So we only talk about mundane things, but we don't go deep into what it is. Now, I'm not making up what I'm saying. I have a scholarly references to this. Another point which I want to do. Buddha and Muhammad in the history of religion and founders of religious tradition. Buddhism and Islam hold that human beings have always engaged in the search for meaning. There have been many Buddhas and prophets before the Buddha. But at the same time, the Quran mentions that there are prophets before Nabi Muhammad whom the Quran doesn't mention. The ayat is very clear. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رَسُولًا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ. We have sent prophets before you. And then, I'm going to jump, he says, مَنْ لَمْ نَقْسُسْ عَلَيْكَ. Allah says in the Quran, there are prophets He does not mention. This itself is an indication that Islam is open to believe in prophets, all the prophets. Same ayat in Surah 14 says the same thing. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِاللِّسَانِ قَوْمٍ. We have sent the prophets in the language of the people. We have sent prophets in the language of the people. So there are prophets and there are Buddhas before Nabi Muhammad. So Islam is open. So the prophets and the Buddhas, there's not one Buddha. We know only one historical Buddha. There are many Buddhas, all right? Before and after. There are who are trying to live a good life, good example life. So for me, if you ask me the question, this is kind of detailed. What is the common between Nabi Muhammad and the Buddha? I say very simple. Both of them are prophets of liberation. Let's not talk about theology. The Buddha liberated human beings from the caste system, the Brahmin, the Kshatriya, the Shudra, and the Vaishya, and the cycle of rebirth. How much suffering was there? Nabi Muhammad also liberated Arabs from Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah of what? Killing the infant babies. They were burning them alive. From what? From slavery. From Bilal, you know that very well. Huh? And liberating human beings from tribalism. That's what we have. And slavery. So they are prophets of liberation. I'm coming from this perspective. If you are going to discuss a theological discussion, it will never end. You know, you end up by saying tit for tat. It doesn't work. So that's how I see them. So the idea is of helping human beings come out of suffering. So the messages of Buddha are the messages of truth, about God, and about sunyata or emptiness. You will be surprised to know that I'm here right here in the Quran, and I'm right here in the 13th, 11th century. You know, the first book by a Christian about Buddhism was written only in 1844. We are in the 20th century, 21st century. Just not more than 150 years ago or something like that. The first book by a Christian. Here Muslims are writing much before about the Buddha. Asharastani, Rashid al-Din Hamdi, al-Biruni, all these people. And there are many scholars besides this who are talking about the Buddha. But Muslims don't know, unfortunately, because here in Southeast Asia, they don't study their past. Everything begins from 12th and 13th century. It's unfortunate, you know. Okay, Philippines is a majority Catholic country, it's okay. But even in Indonesia, I know they don't know. In Malaysia, they don't know. Because they have whitewashed their past. And that's why we have all these fightings going on. It's a challenge for the ASEAN. I see ASEAN becoming Afghanistan. I really see the violence is coming. And this is dangerous. And you have to be careful here, because ASEAN is an economic hub. ASEAN people have lived in peace for centuries. Not like the Middle East, you know what I mean, in Turkey and everywhere. Here has been peaceful. Why you want to destroy it? That's my question to the ASEAN people. I'm not an ASEAN, all right? So it's a challenge to you. Now, there's another view of the Buddha, and I'll ask the people who know Quran very well and Islam, who are Islamic scholars here, listen to this. I'm not making this up. I said to you, early Muslims saw the Buddhists as Ahl al-Kitab, people of the book, like they look at the Christians and Jews. Professor Hamidullah is the first person who translated the Quran into French language, and he has written many books about the Sirah. For he says the Buddha is a prophet, and he even goes further and says the Buddha is mentioned in the Quran. Now this is tough one. Professor Hamidullah goes on and says the Buddha is mentioned in the Quran. How? I'll give you an example. This is a challenge for you. Maybe you have never heard this before, right? Alright, so I'm going to take you. There's a chapter in the Quran, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. You have heard this before, right? There are 4 symbols in this surah of the Quran. Wattin is a fig, Zaytun is the olive, Sinin is Mountain Sinai, Baladil Amin is Makkah. 4 symbols. Okay. Olive is for Jesus, Sinai is for Musa or Moses, and Baladil Amin is for Nabi Muhammad. What about Tin? Can anybody tell me? You don't learn that. Your teachers, Kiai or Ulama, don't know this. The Buddha was enlightened under the Bodhi tree. And the Bodhi tree is a fig tree. So, according to Professor Hamidullah, and I can't contest his scholarship, cannot at all. He says that is a Quranic symbolic reference to the Buddha. I take it in a positive way. Many Muslims don't know about this. So, another, Hamidullah also says this, Zulkifl in the Quran is a reference to Kapilavastu, where the Buddha was born. And if you read the Zulkifl ayat in the Quran, the Zulkifl ayat, it says, Wa min as-sabirin. The whole ayat reads that the Buddha, Zulkifl is a person who was patient, tolerant. It fits it exactly like that in Surah Al-Anbiya, if I am not wrong. It says, Zulkifl is min as-sabirin. He is a patient. And the Buddha teaches about patience and intolerance. So, you can do a lot of theology on this if you are interested. So I'm very much interested in this. That's why I'm doing it. But I'm sure this is not acceptable to the Buddhists. Because this is a Muslim view of Buddhism, alright? For Buddhism, for the Buddhists, Buddha is very higher from what I'm saying. But this is how I come close to start understanding and dialogue and not fighting. That's why I said Rohingya will be the last topic. If you have come to hear about Rohingya, you have to wait for some time. Okay, because that will be the last topic. How much time do you have? Pardon? Until 2 o'clock. This guide me, right? Okay.
45 minutes.
45 minutes, alright. Okay, now, let me go further. So, for me, as I said to you, the message of the Buddha and Prophet Muhammad are about liberation. What do they share? You know, Muslims have studied Christianity more than Buddhism. Here, right here, in Asia. Excuse me, I don't waste my time studying Christianity. I give up. I'm very frank, okay? What have you gained? 1400 years, Muslims and Christians have talked to each other. What have you gained? Anything? Yes or no? I said no, nothing. They don't respect my prophet. I'm very frank. The Buddhists respect my prophet, provided I tell them who my prophet is. That's the truth. Christians, Jews will never accept your prophet. But the Christians and Jews have a better Buddhist-Christian dialogue going on. I'm not being political. I'm just saying I'm a scholar. Why should I waste my life, my time in things which is not going to profit me? And if you are in Philippines, you are in a different situation, all right? But when I'm in Thailand and in Myanmar and in Muslim countries, Asian Muslim countries, they also know, they know more about Christianity than about Buddhism. My friends in Thailand tell me, why are you interested in Buddhism? I said, you'll be interested more than me. You should be interested more than me. I am interested because I study Buddhism. That's why I want to learn Buddhism and I want to understand it and how it is practiced. That's why I'm interested in it. So they share what? They share the problem. Another problem is always a problem of ethnicity. What do they share? They share morality and ethics. You know, the Buddha says, don't drink alcohol. It's haram in Buddhism. You cannot drink alcohol in Buddhism. It's not allowed. You cannot do many things. The Buddha was as strict as Islam is. You cannot do many things which we take for granted. Not only drinking is haram, violence is, drinking is not allowed, intoxicant is not allowed, violence is not allowed. You have to live very, very careful life because of ethics. Liberation from oppression, I mentioned it already. Equality, why did people here? Equality, in Buddhism there is equality, in Islam there is equality. I come from Africa, all right? I come from Africa. I'll tell you something very personal. I lived in Patani for 5 years, among the Malay people. And just as we prayed Friday prayer today, one day my colleague in Patani, I'm teaching in Islamic studies, he tells me, Achan Yusuf, and they call it teacher, right? Sir Yusuf, you are Muslim, it's good. But you are Malay, I love you more. So what? What are you talking about? They want me to be Malay. If I go to Africa, I live among the Africans. They say, Yusuf, you are my brother. They know I cannot become black, okay? Biologically impossible. Biologically impossible for me to become black. But they say to me, you are my brother. I respect them more. Because we live by the skin color. This is nationalism. At the same time, equality, justice, freedom and fraternity. So this is what I find. Now, let me go further. So, I mentioned to you already about the early meeting between Islam and Buddhism. At-Tabari also talks about that. And your pondok and pesantren. Let me come to the last point here. You know, in Indonesia they have the pondok and you have the madrasah here. No, in Thailand and Malay world we have the pondok, you have pesantren in Indonesia, and you have the madrasah here. If you look the model of the traditional madrasah, it is based on the Buddhist schools. They became Muslim, but they kept the model. The Tuan Guru is in the middle, just like the abbot of the Buddhist temple is in the middle. The students are sitting next to each other, and the kuti. And if you go to a traditional pondok in Patani, they have small huts where the students live and meditate and practice Islam. This is the temple school model, Buddhist temple school model, adopted by the Southeast Asian Muslims. They did not throw it out. They adapted it to Islam. Even the Rajas here in Southeast Asia, who were, before they became Sultan, they were Bodhisattva Rajas. The Rajas of Jawa and Sumatra and Bali and Patani and the whole world here. They were Bodhisattva. They were Rajas. But when they became Muslim, they became what? They became Sultan and they became Insan al-Kamil. I'm not making it up. It's all there. But in modern age, we washed it all out. Because our theology, our scholarship is not local. It comes from the Middle East. I tell you, Middle East cannot solve your problems here. Middle East, why? Two things before I go further. You know, the destruction of the Bamiyan statues. The Taliban destroyed the Bamiyan Buddha statues. The Buddhists still have the pain in their heart. They feel it, but they don't tell it. The diplomat here from Japan understands me on that one. If somebody draws the picture of Nabi Muhammad, we go and shout it, Allahu Akbar, and throw something at it. They are non-violent, they pain. I know the Buddhists are pain. From Japan to Myanmar, wherever the Buddhists are, they hurt. And I was in Makkah at that time, and the Bamiyan statues were destroyed. Oh my God, I have to go back to Thailand. And they will ask me, why did you destroy our Bamiyan statues? There's a very interesting book on the destruction of the Bamiyan statues. I don't remember the reference. And she says the Muslims made Bamiyan statues famous twice. First, they kept them for 1400 years without destroying them. The world came to know of the Bamiyan Buddha statues because the Muslims in Afghanistan did not destroy it. But we made it famous second time by destroying them. So one side you have a picture that the Muslims are tolerant, Muslims are understanding, and Muslims respect their history. On the other side you have a picture of destruction. Now your choice, which one you want. I'm very frank about all these things here. So I divide the Muslim world into following zones. The Middle East, which is not, and in Middle East is not all Arab. Okay? You have Iran, you have Turkey, you have Kurdistan and Afghanistan. Yesterday the Kurdish, they want to separate. Everybody's angry there. Africa, North Africa, West Africa, and East Africa. I come from East Africa. Central Asia. This is very interesting. For Central Asia is made of Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. You know Imam Bukhari, right? He's not an Arab. Imam Bukhari is not an Arab. He's from Bukhara. Eh? Anybody knows? Where's Bukhara? Yes. Huh? Where? No, it's in Uzbekistan. Right? It's in Uzbekistan. And the word Bukhari, Bukhara, is not Arabic. It is Sanskrit. Bukhari, well, let me go on. Bukhara means the city of Buddhist temple. And Bukhari is from that city of the Buddhist temples. That means Imam Bukhari, who collected the hadith, has a historical background of a Buddhist lineage that is coming from the city of the Buddhists. Of course, he became a Muslim. Many Muslims think Imam Bukhari is an Arab. I'm sorry, he's not. Okay? So we have to know our history and our background, where we are coming from. In China, they have the Hui and Uyghur. You know, the Hui are the Muslims, and the Uyghur who are in Xinjiang. You hear about all of them. But Hui are Muslims who are Chinese. They practice their religion as Muslim, but they are Chinese by culture. Then you have South Asia, the Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, and Sri Lanka. And here you have the whole Indo-Malay archipelago, or Nusantara, Singapore, and mainland Southeast Asia. And the Balkans, Turkey and Bosnia. And then you have the Muslim diaspora in the United States. Now, let's come here. This is where we are, Southeast Asia. The two most important influences here are India and China. Islam came to Southeast Asia from China, Cheng Ho, not from the Arab world. It came from India. It's only later on it comes from India. You see where China is, Fujian, direct into Java, into Sumatra here. Direct from the... And Cheng Ho was a Muslim sailor. He went all over the world. Cheng Ho, Admiral Cheng Ho. And from India, the Sufi type of Islam. But now, the Buddhist monks, I teach many Buddhist monks, they say Islam came here and converted the local people, the Indo-Malay people by force, by jihad. Totally wrong. It came by trade and exchange. But that is the opinion they have today. All Buddhist monks believe Islam spread in Nusantara by jihad. They believe it because they don't have, they are ignorant, and there are no Muslim scholars to tell them it is not so. Because I told you, there are no scholars who are studying with Buddhism here. So, this is something interesting I'll tell you. After the death of Buddhism, Southeast Asia is the home of Buddhism. Buddhism lives in Southeast Asia. Number two, Thailand is the largest Buddhist country in the world. I call it the Saudi Arabia, or the Vatican of Buddhism. They get shocked when I tell the Buddhists, you are the Saudi Arabia of Buddhism, to Thai people. They say, what do you mean? I say, you have money. Just like Saudi Arabia has money. Saudi Arabia spends money to spread Islam. Thailand also protects Buddhism. It's not bad, it's their country, why not? It's their religion. So Saudi Arabia, Thailand is the Saudi Arabia of Buddhism. Not Turkey. Turkey has no money. Iran has no money to spend. Saudi Arabia has a lot more money. Alright? I also say this, the center of the Buddhist world is Southeast Asia. My last point is very interesting. Buddhist Southeast Asia is the Mecca of Buddhism. I want to shake your mind a little bit. The Mecca of Buddhism is here in Southeast Asia. Just like for us, the Mecca is in Arabia. So, just as we look to Arabia for our theology, they look to Myanmar and Sri Lanka and Thailand for their doctrinal studies. So this is a challenge for all of you Southeast Asians here. It's a big challenge that you have to study Asian religions. That's what I'm trying to say. So, Southeast Asia is Serambi Mecca. I was in Indonesia. I talked about Chak Noon. He said, we are not only Serambi Mecca, we are also Serambi Medina. Now what is Serambi Medina? Imam in this morning, he had his computer, he said, I love Medina. I was watching that. You know, Sarambi means veranda of Mecca. But Chaknoon says we are also veranda of Medina. We can make Medina here, of Medina of Nabi Muhammad. That's why Professor Nur Khalis Majid made his university Para Medina in Indonesia, right? To make Medina here, to live with each other, Mithaq al-Medina, living together, Ahl al-Kitab. So you see how much we are losing here. The city of Medina of the Prophet, everyone lived together. But we have lost it. So Thailand, furthermore, Thailand, Myanmar and Sri Lanka, China and Japan are the Al-Azhar and Medina University intellectual centers of Buddhism. If you want to study Buddhism, you have to go to Sri Lanka, not to India. You have to go to China, Japan. I was just Jodo Shinshu, right? I was talking to the ambassador, yeah. I work with Shin Buddhism in Japan. Where are the intellectual centers of Buddhism? Right here in Asia. But we don't know them. They're right in our neighborhood. I'm giving you all these ideas. So, as I said, there's a lot needed in understanding Islam and Buddhism. There are three phases of Islam and Buddhism living together. The first phase is of mystic synthesis. The second phase is of polarization. And the third phase, where we are today, is opposition to each other. Okay. Many words in Sanskrit and Bali language we use here, in Malay language, are Sanskrit, are Buddhist. Hari Raya. Huh? In Indonesia, they don't say siang or saum. They say puasa. Bulan puasa. Puasa means upwas, fasting in Sanskrit. Okay? There are so many names in Indonesia and Malaysia which are Hindu-Buddhist. Sasana, Agama. All these are words which have a historical background. Hari Raya, Hari Raya and many other words. I was in Indonesia and I used to take a motorcycle every day. I was in Ramadan over there. So my motorcycle driver, I would say, Ramadan, are you fasting in Ramadan? He doesn't understand. But I say, puasa, bulan puasa. Bulan puasa means fasting month. Yes. Buka puasa, not iftar, okay? He doesn't understand iftar. He said, buka puasa? Oh yes, I buka puasa. I break my fast. These are all cultural terms. Kanduri, you know, now kanduri is condemned, it's without. Maulid is condemned. Oh, why you condemn Maulid? I'm sorry, right? People who may be covered. Maulid is the Malay appreciation of Nabi Muhammad. The Nasheed, the Qasida, Professor Wadi. These are the Malay appreciation, the Indonesian appreciation of Nabi Muhammad. I'm in Africa, we have Swahili Maulid. In our language, we express our love for Nabi Muhammad. It's not the question of Bidah or this. I see as a cultural. In Thailand, now we have an annual Maulid where the king of the Thailand, Buddhist king, comes and opens the Maulid celebration. And he reads Sallallahu ala Muhammad. I say, fine, you know. I'm not going to say, oh, it is not there, it is there, or not there, you know. It's Sahih Hadith. I appreciate him. He reads the Salawat with us. What happens? We join our hearts together. Very interesting. Of course, but there are people who are criticizing it. I think there is more value in that. All right. Okay, let me go a little more. Now, this is, what is this? Anybody knows? Everybody has seen this? Anybody knows this? Not you. I'm not asking you. Anybody from Philippines? No? This is a surau. I'm not using the word masjid. Surau from Naratiwat in southern Thailand. 400 years old. Masjid Talomano. Surau Talomano. Not masjid, I use the word surau. You see, it has a Thai roof. It has a Chinese balcony. And it has a Malay house down there. And you can, it's still a masjid until today. You can go and pray there. I've prayed there. This is the coming of three cultures living together, the architecture of religious communication. Take you to Dema in Indonesia. This is a surau, Indonesian style. What is this? It's again a masjid, Chinese masjid in Indonesia. Not a fan. Only you can see the minaret down there, the dome down there. Otherwise, it's a Chinese masjid. This is interesting. Kudus. Yeah, this is how they live together. This place is a Hindu temple. This is the masjid, and there's a Buddhist temple behind that. 3 places of worship together in one compound. This is our past. But today is Rohingya. Dangerous situation. We are destroying coexistence. It's not my world, it's your world. My wife is a Thai Muslim. My children are Thai Muslim. I fear for them. I really fear. I feel that our parents gave us a peaceful world, and we are giving a violent world to the young future generation. Doesn't matter they're Christians, they're Buddhists, or they're Muslim. Your future is violence. It is happening already. Please be prepared to make it for salam. I hear going in Indonesia, in Philippines, it would say salam po, salamat po. The word salam is a cultural word. It's an Arabic word. I don't know how many people know about it. Right? So we have this cultural zone of coexistence. Okay, now this thing also will be a surprise to you that Southeast Asia, in ASEAN, 42% are Muslim. 42% of ASEAN population is Muslim, and 40% of ASEAN population is Buddhist. 2 major religions. Christians are, in my approximate, about 12%. Maybe a little more, little less. 2 major religions. But they don't know each other. 42 and 40%. This is not a small number. And in some countries, Islam is the official religion, like Brunei and Malaysia and Indonesia, while the Buddhist countries are also not secular. There's no such secular word here. I call them semi-secular countries. Buddhism, Thailand is a Buddhist political culture. Same in Myanmar, there's no secularism. Same in Vietnam, same in Singapore, same in Cambodia. Now comes the problem. The problem is that we have ethnicized all these religions. A Malay is a Muslim. Now, Imtiyaz Yusuf is not a Malay, so I'm not a Muslim. I used to be in Patani. I go to the market, and the lady who's selling fish to me says, "Are you Muslim? Can you eat pork?" In Thai language. "Can you eat pork?" I said, "No, I can't." She said, "Why?" I said, "I'm a Muslim." She said, "Oh, how can an Indian be a Muslim? I should be a Malay." Then she says to me, "Bahasa Islam dai, can you speak Islamic language?" I said, "Yeah, Arabic I can. Quranic language." She said, "No, you should speak Malay." The language Bahasa Islam is Bahasa Malay. I said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm a Muslim but I don't speak Malay." Because here Malay is a Muslim, a Thai is a Buddhist, a Filipino is a Catholic. So, you never hear about a Malay Buddhist, have you? It's impossible. Contradiction in terms, psychologically speaking. You never hear about a Malay Christian. You can be a Malaysian Christian, okay. But a Malay cannot be a Christian. What is happening here is that the world religions are ethnicized. Filipino Muslims, I never hear this. Very rare. Always people say from Mindanao, from South. I hear Filipino Christian. And you never hear Filipino Buddhist. No? You think about these terms. Thai Muslim is okay. Thai Christian is very new term. So it is coming out. So because what's happening is the conflicts here are basically ethno-religious. Southeast Asian countries are semi-secular, not secular. Because, for example, in Thailand, there's a Buddhist political culture. Myanmar, Cambodia, the king is the Dharma Raja. The Rama 9 and now Rama 10. The Muslim political culture in Malaysia, all the sultans are the custodians of Islam. And Catholic values here in the Philippines. So religion is very much a part of daily life and experience of the people of Southeast Asia. Let's come to the conflicts. The conflicts are ethno-religious. They are not religious conflicts. The Karenese, in Myanmar, it's not only with the Rohingya, there are many other ethnic groups fighting with the Burma group. The Karenese and Karen who are Christians. The Myanmar, the Patani, the Mindanao, these are Muslims. Christians and Christian and Hindu minority. So all these conflicts are ethno-religious. They're not religious per se, but ethnic conflicts, ethnic identification, thanks to the colonizers, they ethnicized us. We lost our past. I say we, I'm saying you, not me. I'm a part of everyone. So they lost, they ethnicized. And this is far away from Lita'arafu, that Quran says you understand each other. You read the ayat just now recently. We have created you as human beings, male and female, nations and tribes, Lita'arafu, that you understand each other. See, the problem in the Middle East today is only there is no ta'aruf between the Kabayah. It's all tribes fighting over there. So, let me come to the conflicts. Now I'm going to become politics now, right? I've done the background already. In Thailand, we have 89% Buddhist, 7% Muslim, less than 1% Christian. That's why I said, I want to study Buddhism, not Christianity. I live with 89% Buddhists. But no Thai studies, Muslim studies Buddhism. Here in Thailand, the second largest religion is Islam. And they are spread all over the country. Mostly people think that only Muslims exist in the southern part of Thailand. Only 44% live in the southern part. Pattanayaala, Narathiwat. 56% live in every part of the country. In the last parliament, we had 23 Muslim members of the parliament. 10 came from the south, 13 came from all the rest of the country. Only 10 from the south, out of 23 members of the parliament. It tells you that it's all spread over. Because in Thailand, I divide it into three parts. The people of Pattanayaala and Narathiwat are ethnic Malay, they speak Malay. If you come up Songkhla, Phuket, Krabi, Phanga, they are ethnically Malay, but they speak Thai. You come to Bangkok, you have the Cham Muslim from Kampong Cham from Vietnam. You have Javanese Muslim, we have Masjid Jawa. You have Persian Muslims in Ayodhya. You have Indian, Pakistani, Tamil Muslim. You go up north to Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, you have the Chinese Muslims. So next one. But whenever we talk about Southern Thailand, everybody talks about only Patani. See, it is one part of the Thai Muslims. So it is mixed up. It's true, right? It's Rumi. Okay, so there are a lot of conflicts. Answer is not simple, we all know. I worry about the unpeace we are giving to our children. It is not a clash, it is a clash of, not a clash of civilization, it is a clash of ignorance. And also the problem with theory, because we follow too much of Western social science. I'm just going to go direct and show what I do, what my center does, and then I'll finish it. Just show some pictures here. I hold conferences between Islam and Buddhism, like a conference on compassion, bridge between Islam and Buddhism. This is what I do. I bring Muslim monks and Buddhist monks and Muslim scholars together. That is Dr. Azizan. She is the director of IKIM, Institute Ke Fahaman Islam Malaysia. And this is a monk from Indonesia. I bring the imams and the monks together. When they meet, there's no animosity. I also teach students at the Royal Buddhist, beside Mahidol University, I also teach at the Monks University in Thailand. And these are my monks from China, from Vietnam, from Myanmar, from Rakhine State, Arakan monks. In the beginning, they don't know about Islam, because they hear the media. At the end of the class, we become friends. You see this, I remember very well. She's from China. First class, she was so upset. Why should I study Islam? In the end, she looks so happy. These are again my students. There are chunks of them. Now, I take them to the mosque. I take my monk students to the masjid on Friday to see Salat al-Jum'ah, so Friday prayer. And you know what they told me when I said, oh, next Friday we're going to the mosque? They said to me, no, we are not going. I said, why? So there are bombs in the mosque. They don't want to go. I said, you go with me. Yeah, they said, if you go, we go. I said, okay, I'm your insurance policy. You go with me. But what happened on that day, they arrived before me. And they were in a non-air conditioned bus. So I told them, go inside, they are waiting for you. Everything is arranged. Go, they will welcome you. They said, no, you come first. I was stuck in traffic jam, like Manila traffic jam. You know, you can never reach. I said, I came late, about half an hour late. They wait in the hot bus. When I came, they came out. But Muslims welcome them, you know. They welcome them, they talk together. By the way, this is the Imam, Imam Shafi'i, and many other Muslim leaders, Thai Muslim leaders. There's nothing wrong. They welcomed them, they had lunch, they even had lunch, you know, and they are chanting, Buddhist chant in the masjid. It takes time to break that. Some Muslims say, oh, why are they going to chant? But you know, some Muslims have good ijtihad on the spot. They say, don't we say Bismillah? Yes, we do Bismillah. So let them do their religious chanting. And after the meal, they will also chant. So again the question comes, oh, why allowed, not allowed? Bid'ah or not bid'ah? So some people, good ijtihad said, don't we read Fatiha after the day? Yeah, we do, so let them. See, these are, you have to break the bridges. Okay, finally they went into the mosque. And when they were, everybody was looking when the khutbah was going on at them. And after the prayer, everybody wanted to take a selfie with them. And when they came finally into the mosque, I broke the coldness. But I leave you, my last statement is this one. I asked the Imam, how many Buddhist monks come to your masjid? He said they come, but not in as large number as you brought. This masjid is 60 years old. Why do they need me to do that? That means we are not doing understanding at the ground level. Thank you very much.
I'm originally from China. I'm currently working at the political science department. Honestly, I don't, as I said, I don't quite know how to frame the question because it's a very, very broad one. It's got to do with the ancient, like ages-long interlinkage between that of politics and religion. Since I think, you know, European times, we see a lot of war were actually led by religious forces in the European continent, and even nowadays we still see that religion quite often associated with certain radical social movements. Earlier you have given us some examples about the radicalization of religious Buddhist nationalism. We also see the link of Dalai Lama in Tibet, which is associated with the term separation of Tibet from China, and not to mention that the jihadists with the terrorism. So I'm wondering, what your comments on about this lingering interlinkage between the radicalization of religion with politics and at an international level.
Okay.
And also, my second question is about the globalization. I think it's a wonderful thing that you and your center have done, bringing different religious groups together and actually promoting the common understanding between them. I think this is something that globalization is about. It's about the interconnectedness. It is also about promoting communication among different groups. So, what in your experience have you identified as the major barrier, to bring different religious groups together? I think religious barriers should be very, very difficult to remove. Do you see any possibility of actually removing these religious barriers?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. My first answer to your question is theoretical. Our own social science, our epistemology of knowledge today, based in European approach to social sciences or social science theories, is based in the epistemology and ontology of violence. This is social Darwinism. So we in Asia, we have adopted the whole package from Weber, from Marx, from Durkheim, from everyone, without understanding what is the context in which these theories begin. All these theories are based in violence. And they don't apply to Asia. Asia doesn't have. Thank you, you're from China. China will never make a war. Civilizations don't make war, I say this. Civilizations don't make war. Nations make war. And that's also a challenge for China, because China is also a materialist philosophy today. So, the problem is, we think everything is conflict and violence. We don't give space for dialogue and understanding. That is the Asian way, has been historically the Asian way. So, how to come over it? Critical theory is important. And critical theory, I don't mean postmodern, because we are modern by accident. We are modern by accident of colonialism. Think of this. We are modern because modernity is not Asian philosophy. It's a Western philosophy. It's a reaction to Christian theology. Modernity. We are not modern. We are modern just by technology. But we don't understand with this social media. And we don't know how to handle all this. We live a Google life 24 hours a day. I come here, my secretary is following me. I want to be peaceful. Because Google tells my flight is in the morning to Manila. Google knows everything about you. I go to China, I have no more Google. I'm very happy. If you read the Western writings about China, they say, oh, there's no freedom in China of expression, no human rights. That's why they don't have Google, they don't have this, they don't have that. So I asked Chinese people, I'm not talking about common people, I'm talking about really high people. They said, we want to protect our culture. One thing. Last year I was in China, last year or before that, and at a very important meeting there was a person from the Communist Party. And at that time Trump had announced that he will go for presidency. This leader said in that meeting, it was the Academy of Social Science meeting, he said, imagine if this person becomes the leader of the superpower, what will happen to the world? I did not believe the communist leader. But when Trump became the president, oh my God, this one turned true. And you can see the repercussions today. We are in the age of wars and conflicts. The Rohingya issue is also about hydrocarbons and oil in the Rakhine state. China has already invested a lot of money in that region. Soros, you know Soros, is a global investor. He has set up a whole funding campaign for the Rohingya to make a war between Muslims and Buddhists so Americans can come in and disrupt China out. These are geopolitics which our people, when you look at Rohingya as Fuqara or Masakin, you don't understand this. Really. We don't have the strategy. So China comes in and says, you can do whatever you want to. We are not going to disturb your cultural life, your religious life. It is a different civilization. That's why civilization don't make war. So globalization, I said to you, I don't know if you heard me, I was globalized before globalization. This globalization is all about money and wars. How do I can't do much. I just do small activities. I bring students together. And first thing I do, Buddhist students and Muslim students, I don't sell food. Because once I sell food, the issue will come, halal or not halal. I give them 100 peso everybody. I say, you go and eat wherever you want. I'm not going to solve your theological problems. And I can't. So I give them money. But I tell them, let's go and clean that road. The meeting of the hearts. Go and wash that wall. Or clean the drain. Go and read to the blind. That's where to bring natural compassion. Compassion in Buddhism, Rahmah in Islam. And then they become friends. Otherwise we are stuck on what I eat, halal or not halal. I can't solve that problem. Food is a great divider. You need to do activities at the lower level, at the ground level. So that's what I do. Now, your last question was about how to bridge religions, right? It's tough. Because everybody believes my religion is the best. I've been comparative religion for a long time. It's tough. Dialogue is not possible unless you don't understand. Begin with understanding and understand the other. I come from comparative religion. Our main principle in comparative religious studies is he who knows one knows none. You got it, just smiling. If you know one religion, don't think you know every religion. The Christians have their understanding of the world. Religions are worldviews. There is ritual, there is art, there is music, there is ethics, there is social dimension, there's so many. Every religion is a worldview. It's not an ideology. When religion becomes an ideology, we go for violence. That's where we are today. So religions are worldviews. If we understand each other's worldviews, we are more peaceful. So he who knows one knows none. And when you reach at that stage, then you are not judgmental. I will never say who is going to hell or heaven. I said, leave it to God. Another thing, religions are about death. For me, all the prophets, Jesus, Nabi Muhammad, and the Buddha, they're all about that. They're not about the world. They're saying we pass into the world, but not the Dawah Tabligh, okay, throw the world out. I'm not doing that one. But they're saying prepare for your death. How do you prepare for your death? By compassion, by caring, by helping elevate suffering. That's how I go.
And I think it's also very clear here, Imtiyaz, that the ontology and epistemology of violence that concocted Western social sciences is also very, very dominant in what we are also studying in international relations. They're saying that the origin of international relations or the international system came before because of the 30 Years' War in Europe and also an 80 Years' War before Spain and the Dutch Republic that paved for the nation-state system. And this epistemology and ontology of violence was also promoted by Marx Weber. He said that state has the monopoly of violence and has the legitimacy of the use of force and to regulate lives.
Yeah. If I can follow up to that one, I'm teaching a course on human dignity and human freedom. Human rights. Human dignity and human rights. Human rights is a modern concept. My Buddhist students don't understand what is human rights. They understand human dignity. Muslims don't understand human rights. Karamna bani Adam. We have dignified the human being. These things don't work because human rights comes with the killing of the Jews in Germany and it becomes a law. You can't treat human being by law. You need to respect human dignity. The problem is with our state of knowledge. The answer is simple. Yeah. The theoretical state.
Yeah. And we had this discussion a while ago that I asked you why for the past centuries that the interpretation of the sources of Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah, has become predominated by legalism and philosophy and experiential approach to understand Islam became dormant. Why legalism and jurisprudence?
Yeah. See, Islam, like every religion, is about a matter of heart. That's what it is first. Before it becomes law. Law, the whole fiqh tradition. I said the Quran has Sharia, principles of Sharia. It doesn't have fiqh. We have made fiqh into Sharia. That's where the problem is, first thing. The Sharia tells you what to do and how to apply, manage your life. Then we have the Sunnah. It is the living Sunnah. But what we have done, we have made Hadith into Sunnah. This is where the problem is. Hadith has become Sunnah. Sunnah is Nabi Muhammad's living Sunnah. You can do it in Manila, you can do it anywhere else. So the legal schools started in Iraq and Medina. The Medina school, it was always saying the Medina tradition, the way of Medina is more important than that of Hanafi or Shafi or anyone. So we have moved or separated spirituality, ruhaniya, with legalism and give more emphasis on legalism. Islam came here because of heart, matters of heart. That's the first thing. Second, why about philosophy? And I'm very critical on this. There are no departments of philosophy in any Muslim university. But you go to any Christian theology, they learn philosophy. We are afraid of philosophy because of Al-Ghazali. For me, Al-Ghazali had a personal problem. He had a psychological problem. I don't make it the problem of the Ummah. He couldn't handle philosophy, so we all say, don't study philosophy. Hey, I like philosophy. You like philosophy. Why should I not study philosophy? You get your degree, PhD is Doctor of Philosophy. It's philosophy of medicine, philosophy of technology, philosophy of... Every knowledge is a philosophy. Muslims did that before. The book by Rosenthal, Knowledge Triumphant. He says Islam is the religion of knowledge, of ilm. I recommend you to read that. Knowledge Triumphant by Franz Rosenthal. Must read. Islam is the religion about knowability, knowledge. Ilm is so important. Great ayat, if you think it scientifically. So we have stopped psychology, philosophy, that's where our problem is. And we have made only theology is important. So if you don't think, the Quran says, يُعَلِّمُ الْكِتَابُ وَالْحِكْمَةِ Surah Jumu'ah. Nabi Muhammad teaches kitab, the Quran, wal hikmah, his wisdom. Surah Al-Jumu'ah, right, Imam? How much we think about hikmah? We don't. This book, the Quran also says, لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. This is a book for those who think, not those who follow, the copy. Quran of the words. But they won't teach this to you in the madrasa. لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. We are the qawm, we are a community which thinks. How many of us think? Ask that question back to you, yourself. Do you think? And think means reflection, and that is philosophy. So we have abandoned the whole philosophical tradition. The great philosophers come from the Muslim world. Now what happens is after Al-Ghazali, philosophy dies, and it takes a new mode, philosophical mysticism, or mystical philosophy. Sufism rises, especially in Iran. You have Mullah Sadra, and you have Shahrawardi. They are mystics, but they are trying to do philosophy. Mysticism and philosophy are two different things. They don't go together. So today we are in a state of mystical philosophy. It doesn't help for theory. For theory it doesn't help. That's why we don't have any new Ibn Khaldun after that Khaldun. We are just still praising Ibn Khaldun. That's where our theoretical problems are.
Thank you, Imtiyaz. Questions?
I'm sure you have questions, right? I was speaking for so long.
And I think Judy, one of the brightest students,
She has it.
Go ahead, Judy.
Assalamualaikum. Afternoon, Prof. I find it interesting that you mentioned about modernity, and since I've been getting to read Al-Halaq and his book on the impossible state, and, I'm also referring to the work of Jorgensmeyer on the sudden surge of religious nationalism, which when we look back into history is actually a modern phenomenon. And when you look at the intersections between Muslim communities and Buddhism, you're actually talking about 11th century, at a time when borders were more porous, and we didn't have this rigid nation-state system that we have today. So I would just like to ask your affirmation. Do you think that this surge of religious nationalism and violence expressed in religious terms, aside from colonialism, has to do with the system that we have today, with modernity? Would you say it is part of modernity's modern predicament that we have forced people to adapt a collective, a nationalism that they cannot, sometimes is not accepting of multiculturalism?
Yeah, so you're right. We need multicultural citizenship. That's our answer. Because nationalism has created these borders, first thing. Second thing is what is happening today is that modernity said religion will disappear. Modernity says you have the three stages: the primitive stage, the God stage, and the scientific stage. You know that very well. Religions will disappear. By pushing religion out, obviously this is a Western problem, it's not my problem. By pushing religion out, it has come back with a vengeance. But brought not by people who see religion as a civilization, but as a violence, to get back. That's why you have all these jihadis. The word jihad becomes holy war only after crusades become holy. They are holy war. Jihad doesn't mean that. Because of that, the meaning of jihad before the crusades is something else. And the word Quran used fighting, the word is qital, not jihad. There are two different words again. But everything is packaged together. And so what is happening here now, dangerous. We are in the stage of religious nationalism. All religions have become nationalist. I have a student who says, I did not expect the Buddhists to join the bandwagon. Oh, they have also come out. First there were Christians, Jews and Muslims. Now Buddhists have joined, India has joined too, Hindus have joined too. What's the next stage? Fascism. Dangerous. Next stage is fascism. And that is genocide of everyone. It's ethnocide. Other thing is, I recommend you to read this book, Geography of Fear of Small Numbers, by Fear of Small Numbers by Arjun Appadurai. He's a global theorist at Columbia University. He says the majority creates the fear of small numbers because the majority is not united. So they say, oh, those small numbers are going to catch up. Typical cases, Myanmar. Myanmar has, I don't have the figures there, I'm just quoting here. Myanmar has 92% Buddhist. Or say 90% Buddhist. 7% Christians. 3% Muslims. What these Buddhist monks, nationalist monks in Myanmar are saying, they will catch us up. Demographically. It's impossible. Scientifically impossible. Sorry, what I say, even if Muslims make love for 24 hours, we can't catch up. 98%. Demographically, it is a wrong statement. But they believe it. Fear of small numbers. That's what they are creating, the majorities are creating. Alright? So, fear of small numbers leads to geography of angers. Geographies of anger. So everybody's angry. And thanks to social media, your phones, your technology. These phones are tools of neo-colonialism. Really, this is nothing but it's neo-colonialism. It has no face, faceless colonialism. It's Samsung colonialism. iPhone colonialism. Yesterday there was a meeting by Google. I was at a media meeting. I'll just give you some time. There was a Google representative there. And you know what she was saying? That they want, by 2020, they want 7 billion people on the earth to become internet, what do you call it?
Savvy.
Internet savvy, yeah. Everyone should use internet. And so she gave us the figures. 8% of the people use internet, 8% of people live in the United States. They use internet well. And in Asia, we have 50% population of the world. And they want all 50% population of the Asia to also become interconnected through the internet. But what is the state of education and knowledge in Asia? Are we able to use this thing? Do we think about it? Could we question it? No. What is the state of literacy in Bangladesh if you give them these machines? Are they able to think critical? Critical theory, I'm going back to that one. So the Google project is, we have to make the whole world Googleize. For what? For their money. It's a business. It's a commercial business. But not for knowledge. I tell this to my students, and I say this to young people here. Internet is not knowledge. Internet is KFC delivery. It's just delivering to you. What is knowledge? Not in the books, it's in the questions you have in your mind. But you don't have questions in your mind because you don't go to the libraries. Nobody goes to the library. And everything is not electronic. Please go to the libraries. Your libraries are rich.
Okay, Imtiyaz, we also discussed this in our classes. First question. Do we really have a Southeast Asian Islam strand or version in Southeast Asia? Second, and this has been, discussed in some discourses, that Southeast Asians, instead of becoming Muslims, they rather wanted to become an Arab. Third, in the discourse, instead of knowing the Quran, whenever they do debates, they always instigate hadith. Now these are the 3 sets of questions, and if we still have questions from the audience, we can also add that.
You ask tough questions. Okay, is there Southeast Asian Islam? Unfortunately not. Because Islam came here late, 15th century. So it was not able to gel together. And then immediately 16th century you have the colonizers coming in by 18th century. So there's a disruption. So the gelling didn't take place. What happened in that? It became the Indo-Malay archipelago. And you got divided. The whole. The Malay world, the Indo world, the Javanese world, the Sumatran world got divided. So that gelling has not taken place until today.
And we don't have madhab here in madhab school or legal?
Yes, I'm talking about culturalism. Yeah, I'm talking at the cultural level. Now, madhab is there, it's Shafi madhab. But Shafi madhab is tied to ethnicity, to be Malay. I'm not Shafi, I'm not Shafi. Right? I'm a Hanafi. That's what my parents told me. I don't know, I'm not any one of them. But in the Malay world, you have to be shocking Islam as a civilization, as a culture, and cosmopolitanism. You know, Islam originates in Hijaz, in Makkah and Medina. This is cosmopolitan part of Arabia. The trade between Makkah and Yemen and to the north is all passing through this route, not through the desert. So Islam is cosmopolitan. We have to understand Islam as a civilization. If you don't understand that Islam is a civilization, you reduce it to the questions you said, or to parochial small identities.